This week on Media Delta, part one of our two-part look at the adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. What's up, Dr. Robotnik? Hello, and welcome to another episode of Media Delta. We got a thing today. This is one of the big ones, the one that people probably know of, probably not for legitimate reasons. Well, depends upon how old they are. I wonder how many people first heard of this through YouTube, but anyway, we're talking about the adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog today, which was Sega teaming up with animation studio team, whatever they were, um, to create a cartoon based on Sonic the Hedgehog. And what came from it is something unique. Well, it's very Looney Tunes-esque, but it is very of itself. I was not the only one to watch it with me, so in alphabetical order, I have with me.
Hi, I'm X, and I'm waiting.
I'm the PortableStove. I don't have a quote. Ha 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 ha.
I'm TorpidTypist, and I'm here to talk about fetishes.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
fair.
Um, so this is the first like really expansive series we've done. We took a look at Mappy and to an extent the Salamander OVA. So we've taken a look at some multi-episodic stuff before. But this is the first one that is like really expansive. There were, if I take a look at this, there were 65 or 66 if you count the Sonic Christmas Blast special episodes of this. So we obviously did not watch the entire thing. We watched a selection of episodes, and in 2 weeks, we'll be taking a look at another selection of episodes. So, for points of just letting you know which ones we looked at, we took a look at the pilot, which was Super Special Sonic Search and Smash Squad. I took a look at the episode Lovesick Sonic, Mama Robotnik's Birthday, Spaceman Sonic, Attack on Pinball Fortress, Robotnik Land, and the Mobius 5000. Each of those, this does not have a a cohesive plot, so jumping around really doesn't miss anything. Yeah, we went ahead and watched that. So let's go to our questions that we have here. So, Ax, which is an episode that you want to talk about?
I kind of rolled this over in my head a lot, and like not one singular episode really jumped out at me. I can't really put it into many more words than that. I enjoyed this. I want to put it. I enjoy this show. I still enjoyed watching it. I watched these episodes twice to do this podcast, and I enjoyed it. But at the same time, it's it's just this old Mad Cat brand of cartoon that just like the episodes all kind of sit together. They don't really stand out on their own. At least the ones that we went.
Yeah, I can definitely kind of go with that. It's just that there is no, like I said earlier, there's no cohesive plot, so it's just like things happen just out of nowhere, and
Yeah,
it's like sometimes barely a plot within an episode itself. It's just a series of things happening.
it
The
is,
show's
and
nigh incomprehensible.
well, no, it's comprehensible, but each story doesn't add on to the other story. And like I said, it's madcap, so it's an approach to telling a story is people yelling at each other, loud noises, explosions, and there's just like a vague story involved, like Mama Robotnik. Robotnik's mother escapes from the her old folks' home to celebrate her birthday and forces Robotnik to try to do a bunch of different things. And that's its own story. I will say, in lieu of talking about an episode in particular, the show overall, there was a number of different things that I enjoyed. I enjoyed the intro. It's fast, it gets your attention right away, and for some reason they decided to combine the Sonic theme with In the Hall of the Mountain King and Flight of the Bumblebee into a theme
Yeah,
song for
yeah.
some. And not only that, but they were obsessed with In the Hall of the Mountain King. It gets used all the time in the show.
It it seems like especially because it helps that song's in the public domain. So
Yeah.
they had the title, essentially the title theme of Sonic One. Then they had In the Hall of the Mountain, like as X said, In the Hall of the Mountain King, and occasionally Fight the Bumblebee. It is just it is music that you can have that is free, and also it is a bit, the way they use it is very adaptable to whatever they're trying to do.
And it's just funny that they go with that versus the Sonic theme. Like, normally when you do a meta thing with a character, say, whistling a song, or they're listening to a song on an iPod, you go with that show's opening theme, but they don't do the Sonic theme at all through the show. They do In the Hall of the Mountain King, which I wouldn't have picked for Sonic, to be
I
quite
mean,
honest.
it's kind of part of the opening theme, but that's about it.
Yep.
Yeah, I
And
just thought they would go more with the game's song.
yeah. Like it just we haven't taken a look at it. It's been a while since, but thinking of like I mean, if you're thinking about the console wars that were happening at the time, if you think about the Mario cartoons,
Mhm.
like if I remember, they used like the actual some of the like remixes from the music or from the game in the show. Although now that I think about it, I think they also used a lot of licensed music in those too. But yeah,
Yeah, no, they used a lot of songs from Super Mario Brothers 2 in that. But that's, that's that show.
Also, I do want to correct myself for saying that we looked at the pilot, which was Super Special Sonic Search and Smash Squad. That was actually not the pilot. That was its own episode, but it was the first, I believe, one of the first ones to air.
Mm.
It
And
is the one that is labeled number one.
it also introduces, 2 mainstay antagonists, Scratch and,
Grounder.
Grounder.
Yes. So they were, yeah,
But I
that
think
is,
that's enough of my thing. Let's move to
yeah,
Stove.
yeah,
Well, oddly enough, I would like to talk about the first episode. How about that?
yep. Fair
Um,
enough.
yeah, so Super Special Sonic Search and Smash Squad. So when I was younger, I actually did have a VHS of this show, and I watched it all the fucking time. Like,
Yeah.
it is one of those things that just like nostalgia just kicks in for me, and I can't hate it for as madcap and dumb as it is. In particular, the first episode, which kind of sets the tone for everything else, where shit just kind of happens all the time, but
Yeah.
you don't really understand what's happening. And yeah, that like you get introduced to Dr. Robotnik and why he's upset about Sonic, and you get introduced to the goons, and you get introduced to coconuts and et cetera, et cetera. So, it's a good foundation for the rest of the series, but also again, yeah, no, the series doesn't have any continuity to it, so it's not necessarily essential watching. Still, I actually really like that episode.
Of the ones that I think that you should probably watch before you really just like pick episodes from all of the ones you can find on YouTube, that is one you probably want to start. Harpo, is there any specific episode you want to talk about?
So it's me, the person who really did not enjoy this show at all. I'm gonna say Attack on Pinball Fortress, or whatever the fuck the name was,
Yep.
is like the pinnacle of everything I have against that fucking show. It is a goddamn mess. It's incomprehensible. It's incredibly budget because they were running out of money. This show never really had money to begin with, but holy shit, you can tell that they are not doing well in running out as it
Uh,
gets further in.
as a point about that, I am looking at the list of people who or list of groups that have animated this series over the time, and
Mhm.
it goes all over the globe. Uh, there are some. Let's see. Looking at this, apparently an Italian company involved. Uh, let's see. Rainbow as let's see. Is that okay? Well, at least definitely there is a Hunging Animation from Taiwan, Seirome Production from Korea, and Tokyo Movie Shinwa or Shinsha from Japan. Um,
TMS?
yeah, TMS was involved in some of these episodes, which is funny because
Huh.
apparently they also worked on Sonic X, but that's much later. Um, yeah, I'd imagine that production on this was kind of hectic, and this was all syndicated, so it was all produced at once to specifically be sold to a network. Yeah, it
And
kind of showed.
yeah, and it
That's
just
deep.
all of the characters were terrible. The entire central thing, which is a stupefaction ray, was foul.
Well, even and then there was that part at the beginning with the Uber nerd and the
Yeah.
salesman.
Yep.
Yeah,
And the Uber nerd kinda I felt like the character design and the character's voice sorta wandered a little bit into problematic
yeah,
territory?
yep, yeah. It definitely did. It's not great.
I
It's
don't know if it
just
was
it's in
int I don't know if it was JK Rowling intentional or if it was just sort of, like, accidental, but,
it was
eh.
probably accidental. It's
Yeah,
not the kind of show to really do that deliberately.
yeah.
Yeah.
was
That
just
said, it's all this mishmash of things that I really do not care for about the show, perfectly brought together in one thing, and yet it still wasn't the most fetishy.
yeah. Well, that's something we can talk about later.
Actually, wait, tell me your feelings on bimbification.
Uh,
Can
let's.
we let's hold off on that one, please?
We're getting ahead.
Yeah. That's I have a question. That fifth one that I have on this list, probably a good time to talk about that.
God.
But
But yeah,
yeah, I do agree with you, Torpo, that Attack on Pinball Fortress was definitely like the weakest one for me, especially since, yeah, just Wes Weasley and the weird ass fucking Doberman
General,
soldier
yeah.
general, yeah.
Yeah,
What the
that
fuck?
in terms of just it being Madcap, and you kind of expect Madcap to be a little incomprehensible, but mostly, enjoyable. They just kind of were a weird side plot to the main plot that A didn't make sense and B kind of were more annoying than anything.
yeah,
Yeah, so basically it was Robotnik got a stupefaction ray. It's turning people stupid. The entire thing was stupid. All of the character, like what they became when they were stupefied was fucking terrible.
Mhm.
Every time. Like it's just this weird, terrible thing. And then to cap it all off, like the general wanted it. I want to use it to make the perfect soldier, I think it was.
Yeah, which is a pretty interesting political statement.
Yeah,
to make.
Yeah.
not what I was expecting. And then the Weasel just wanted to make the ideal customer
yeah,
who will buy fucking anything.
Can't believe they're putting politics into my Sonic cart.
yeah. Also, to point out of a thing that is bad about it, it is the show's attempt to make a episode based on Sonic Spinball.
Right, yeah.
Yep.
So
Also, was that one of the ones with the mustache wipe?
that might have been.
I
It
know
was either
Mobius
the
5000
only-
had one.
okay. It was Mobius 5000
It must
had
have,
mustache wipe.
Plus the other
the only
downs-
redeeming thing about this show, the only redeemable thing about this show is the mustache wipe.
Plus, the other downside to that episode is it doesn't feature Robotnik's regular fortress with that beautiful, amazing golden statue, which is my favorite bit of art in the entire series. It's just that goofy statue of him with his mouth open, pointing into just a general direction.
Whoa, holy shit. Sorry. I'm sorry,
Okay.
please.
What are you doing?
Something started playing randomly.
That's they
See,
were
I'm-
talking about the show, so I feel like it's fitting.
And now we vote Stove off the island.
We'll fix it in post.
So no, it won't.
Okay.
So
Minimal editing as possible.
yes.
Sorry, X, what were you saying?
I was saying I love the one bit thing that I love throughout the entire show, and it's just one bit of art, and it's on Robotnik's fortress, and it's the gold statue of him just pointing in a general direction with his mouth open. It's so dumb looking, but it's so funny to me.
It is very fitting. So if I were to point out one of the episodes, I feel that like the one that I want to talk about because it was like of the comprehensible thing because it was something that was like the thing like especially we're saying that it's incomprehensible but also in a way that is kind of bad like obviously Mad Cat stuff is kind of incomprehensible but Spaceman Sonic I could not figure out why anything like they were trying to do a plot throughout the episode of like something involving space. I could not remember why they are in space like at all. Like it doesn't like they kind of drop what they're trying to do up there pretty quickly. Yeah, it just didn't like click. And it just like, oh, let's just do space stuff. So
And then it got weird.
yeah, that was another thing.
Think we can add that weirdness onto the upcoming question.
Yeah.
That's a really gross episode. Oh my god.
So the next question we have is how do you feel about the setting slash character? Torpo, I think we're starting with you this time.
I mean, first off, what setting? It's
Yep.
Setting is just set dressing at best. Whatever. Characters were fucking terrible. I hated all of them. Sonic was fucking insufferable. He was the absolute worst and an absolute.
Yeah, I this is probably like this is I think one of the like this show and the one that's referred to as Sonic Sadam are probably the reasons why. Uh, like I know Sonic was always meant to be the mascot attitude, but I think the cartoons dialed that up to like 11,000. And yeah, I could definitely agree with Sonic being a little bit, just a little bit insufferable.
Also, this was the first time that Sonic was ever voiced by Jaleel
Yes,
White.
yeah.
First time Sonic was ever voiced, and it was by Jaleel White, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the voice acting in this thing is the casting is really weird. Because yeah, Sonic's Jaleel White, which if you're not familiar with actors, that is the person who played Steve Urkel in Family Matters. Uh,
And he is very Jaleel White in
yeah,
this.
it is very Jaleel White in this.
Fun fact: Jaleel White will literally take any opportunity, I think, to voice Sonic again because I think he did it in a fan movie recently.
Yes, he did. I believe in that. The one thing I remember about that fan movies, I believe the Nostalgia Critic was in it.
So basically,
That-
that's a good endorsement of the movie itself.
oh yeah, yeah. Yeah. Do you have anything else to add, or we move on to Stove?
I mean, the new so it did nothing with the characters it was given, and they just went off in their own direction with it, and it's deeply frustrating. Not that there was exactly a whole lot to work with in the first place, but still.
Uh, actually, now that well, I'll probably bring it up in mine, so I'll save on that thought. So Stove.
So I don't have much to say about the setting, of course, because Mobius really isn't anything. It is just a a vast wasteland of things that are meant to invoke Sonic, like maybe checkerboard patterns sometimes. Maybe I don't remember exactly, but yeah, it is pretty much just shit that happens in a random ass place. I also will co-sign that Sonic kind of sucks, and Tails is also not much better. I fucking love the villains so much.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
every single member of the uh Supersonic whatever the fuck squad is just a great, well, maybe not Coconuts. Coconuts can eat a dick,
yeah,
but
Coconuts kind of sucks.
Scratch
Coconuts?
Grounder was that?
Coconuts was a monkey,
Yeah.
Oh,
the one that was voiced by Canadian Goku.
okay, but how do we feel about the Lady Hedgehog?
She
We'll
doesn't
get-
count.
We'll get to that in the WA.
But yes, Robotnik's great. You can probably tell I actually kind of really like Scratch. A lot of that's just down to the fact that Scratch is just a fucking loser, which is really great. And then Grounder is also just a dumbass. And I don't know, I just really like them. I think they're neat.
Yeah, I can definitely say that the villains are definitely the reasons why you'd watch this.
But
yeah,
that
no,
being
I
said,
give you that.
Also to elaborate what I said earlier. So yes, Coconuts is a monkey. Ian James Corlett is the person who voiced it, who was in one of the first dubs of Dragon Ball Z, voiced Goku, a part of a Canadian voice acting troupe. I don't know what, I can't remember off the top of what they're called. But his other main voice that you probably are familiar with him, especially if you're familiar with video game based adaptations, he is the guy who voiced Mega Man in that cartoon.
that explains way too much.
God, that still
Uh,
fucking gets me.
I will also throw in as well, every other character can also go to hell. They all suck. They're all awful. I don't
Yeah,
like a single original character that's not Scratch. Oops. I guess Scratch is technically the only original character that's like,
so Scratch and Grounder are slightly like even in Coconuts as well are based off of enemies from Sonic, just highly modified.
yeah.
Grounder definitely, I know what enemy it's based off of. Same with Coconuts. Scratch, I can't. I think they took like one of the chicken things and just reworked.
Yeah. But anything that's like outside of that can go fuck itself. They're all bad.
Yeah, I don't think either Scratch or Grounder had a voice like their voice actors were they're actually in I am not familiar with Dead Rising 2. Is Raymond Sullivan a major character?
I don't know. I know
Okay.
Chuck is the main character, but that's
Okay, because they the person who voiced Scratch voiced character in Dead Rising 2.
it might have been one of the psychopaths.
Upon just Googling the name Raymond Sullivan, the hidden secondary antagonist of Dead Rising 2. So I guess spoilers for that. I don't know.
Way
Okay.
to spoil a game that's over 5 years old. Good job.
Yeah.
Over 5 years
I was
old.
gonna say. I think
I'm not looking up how old the game is. I don't care.
Yeah,
A
that's
non-zero number of years old.
I assume it's more than 5.
Also, Grounder's voice actor is also nothing is popping out, like nothing is coming to mind. But it's just a person who did a lot of acting in various things, like also character actor in several like '90s TV shows. Like he was in Highlander the series, in like MacGyver,
Okay.
that kind of thing. Yeah, nothing off. Oh, apparently he's in the new the Sonic movie that comes out next week. So great.
Hell yeah.
Heck yeah.
Um, yeah. The I'll wait until I go in mine, but to give the last voice actor that I want to point out. But
Yeah,
I
I'll
think
bite my
if
tongue on
Axe
that one.
doesn't mention him first. So yes, Axe. What about your thoughts on the characters?
So it's kind of a mixed bag. So Sonic is cocky and dorky, but mostly cocky and kind of a dick. And then Tails is just ineffective and almost infantilized, which is
Yeah,
bizarre.
yeah,
He's there to service Sonic's ego.
Yeah, it's just so bizarre seeing Tails be relegated as this baby character.
There is a joke in an episode we didn't cover where Tails reveals that I think he can't read or write. So
that
Yeah.
sounds about right.
He also can't swim, apparently.
Huh?
Because in God, I'm trying to remember the episode. I did just recently watch them, but in one of the episodes, it's the Mama Robotnik one. She tricks him she throws him into the water, and he just gets carried away. Like he doesn't even try swimming. So it's just like Tails just shouldn't even bother
Sucks.
being there. He just sucks. Yeah, they completely ruin the character. Coconuts can fuck off forever. I can't stand that character. Anytime they're on screen, I want to gouge out my ears. I do like the Rogues Gallery other than Coconuts. Robotnik's hilarious. Scratch has the greatest laugh in the entire show.
Also a very well... Wait, which one's which? I forget.
Scratch is the chicken, Grounder is the
Okay.
drill.
Yep.
Yeah. And Grounder is kind of I'm a dope kind
He's
of.
also got a very well-defined ass
Yes, he
all of
does.
the time.
Yes, and I do need to. I want to point that out. I wanted to point it out at the why, but thank you for pointing that out. I want to mention how just lovingly rendered Grounder and Robotnik's asses are.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh my god.
very, very lovingly detailed rendering of these just voluptuous cheeks.
Robotnik's
And-
ass is a character amongst itself.
It
Yeah.
is-
Thicker than a bowl of oatmeal.
he looks like he should be wearing those booty shorts with Juicy on the back.
Holy shit.
Please, it would say pink and you know it.
Pink and juicy.
No!
So if we have any fan artists out there listening
No.
to Midi Delta,
Please,
No,
please.
there are people in our circle that could do that.
And I that is an open invitation.
You will all be banned if you even attempt it.
I will
I will
unban you.
unban them.
Yes, that is a great. But no, like it's so weird how just disparate some of the characters are. The two main characters are complete garbage, and then you've got this fantastic rogues gallery of interesting villains that are done fairly well, except for one. Fuck you,
Okay,
Coconuts.
no, only the main villains are any good.
I like the
Yep.
space monster, despite the fact that it did some
No.
questionable things.
Yeah, that's the thing about the space monster.
It was questionable, but still, like there's still some interesting stuff going on. As far as the setting goes, like it's already been pointed out, Mobius exists, but there is no Mobius. It's just it is a setting for the sake of having a setting. We
It's
don't
set
know.
dressing, yeah.
Yeah, we don't have an actual like what's the planet look like? This scene, and then we move on. I do love the way I love the art in this. I like the way everybody's animated. It's got that weird snappy rubber bandy kind of art style to it that was very, indicative of that time period. A lot of
Thank
cartoons
God
had
it's
that.
dead.
I like that art and you suck. But no, it's enjoyable to watch, and it's interesting because like they'll do weird stuff where like the sky is a bunch of Jackson Pollock-y kind of splotches, but then they'll have fairly detailed interiors.
Asses. Oh.
And asses. They really love those asses. I can't blame them.
I will say, actually, real quick, going back to Sonic and why he's the worst, because he's this smarmy shithead, but also he is an idiot as the plot demands. Like that time he was incredibly horny for that lady Hedgehog,
Yeah.
Yes.
where he would just bend over backwards for her and not listen to Tails ever. Because fuck Tails, he gotta get he dick wet, I guess.
Yeah. And that was supposed to be a hedgehog, by the way.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
was supposed to be a hedgehog.
It's a very human-looking hedgehog.
Yeah.
Well, that's how you know she's attractive.
Yeah.
It was the worst.
Yeah.
What about
Uh,
you, Lolo?
So obviously, or not, maybe not obviously, but definitely, number one character in the show is Robotnik,
Yeah.
bar none. And
Mhm.
I would like to take a little time to point out why Robotnik is so great. One, just the writing they have for him. It's such. They wrote him very fun, but there is a very weird bit of trivia about this show and its casting of Robotnik. In the pilot that was not aired, Jim Cummings was actually the person who voiced Robotnik, and Jim Cummings is also the person that would voice Robotnik in Sonic Saturn. For some reason, they got one Long John Baldry to voice Robotnik in the series. Ro- Long John Baldry is not a voice actor; he's a musician, a very important musician, kind of too. He is a English Canadian blues singer, according to Wikipedia, and he actually is very important to popular music in a way, because he is actually he is credited as the person responsible for keeping Elton John from committing suicide.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
so apparently, during the because one key point about Long John Baldry is that he has been openly gay since the early 1960s. Well, openly in the way that he wasn't like super open in public because he was living in England and that was still like crime in the 60s. Um, but yeah, he was very open about being gay during that time, and basically was friends with Elton John. And if you are familiar with Elton John's kind of history, at some point he had a relationship. He basically had a relationship with a woman that he was I believe he was using as kind of a cover to prevent rumors of him being gay. And he was depressed about it to the point where he was almost considering suicide. Except Long John Baldry talked him out of it. There is an Elton John song called "Someone Saved My Life Tonight" that is actually dedicated to Long John. So I would like to point that out. For some reason, he's voicing Dr. Robotnik in this thing.
Can't believe Dr. Robotnik saved Elton John's life.
That would be very fitting. But yeah, I feel like that point is worth mentioning anytime that this series comes up because yeah, that is pretty interesting. I have no idea why he took it, but apparently looking at this, he did actually do some like voice acting for various stuff. Actually, apparently he was a voice actor in Bucky O'Hare as well.
Was he
Like,
also in Captain N at some point? Like,
that yes, he was. He's the king. That barely shows up.
oh
Also,
yeah.
apparently the narrator for the Dragon Warrior cartoon. Okay, well,
Sure.
Add
yeah,
it to the list.
yeah. I mean, that is well. I think we have to do 3 at that point to get to there. But anyway, yeah. I just want to point out Doctor Robotnik and that.
I mean,
Uh,
that's some cool trivia. I didn't even know that.
yeah. That is one of the more fascinating things about the show. So going on to our next question, I think we've kind of covered this. Axe, how do you feel about the flow of this show?
There's no flow. That's I think it's the so it's kind of a positive and a weakness. It's a positive because you could just watch any episode, throw it on random, and you're fine. But it's a weakness because there's nothing that really anchors you to the show. There's nothing that you can invest in. There's no overarching plot, no character development. It's just everybody starts and ends where they are. And some cartoons, and like one of my favorite cartoons, Ed, Ed and Eddie. followed a fairly similar structure. It was each episode was its own story, disparate from other ones, but at the same time, later episodes would do callbacks to previous ones, and then eventually they would have an overarching story. Um, Whereas this show just kind of went all over the place and never really settled on anything. So I wouldn't say I would say overall I think it's kind of works against.
And it also didn't help that the characters themselves were wildly inconsistent.
Yeah.
Shit happens a lot. That's pretty much all I have.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, that's basically the thing of the show.
A lot of things are happening at once, but at the same time, nothing's happening at once, which is
Yeah.
a cartoon thing pretty much. But yeah,
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. What about you, Torpo?
Yeah, it calling it a flow is being really, really generous. It's just a bunch of rapid fire gags, some of which don't work, a lot of which don't work, honestly. But
Yeah. I was just saying, yeah, I was just agreeing.
yeah, it's oh god, the show's a fucking mess.
We should give it
Like,
points though for the Mama Robotnik one because it could have been really bad and it
it
wasn't.
was pretty bad.
I mean, for the show, I would still say that of the episodes we took a look at, it is the one that it probably flowed the best.
And then yeah, so just there is no flow. There's never a flow. Every episode's its own thing. Every episode's a fucking rapid fire gags. It's a mess. Everything happens as the joke demands, really.
And sometimes a single episode will have what feels like multiple episodes within it. Just like
Yeah.
we'll wrap up one story and then move into a whole new one.
Which
Or
is
two different happen at the same time, but none of them feel coherent.
It's the opposite of Seinfeld. It's two stories diverge in the woods, and neither of them.
It's a mess. And then Sonic Says happens, and that is a gift.
yeah. I think we should probably.
We need to address Sonic Says. It's incredibly important.
I think we should do that for our next question.
You
So
literally chose one of the episodes because of the Sonic Says.
yeah,
I didn't know which one you're talking about too. And I
Yeah.
actually wanted to mention it for a very specific reason. But let's get into it.
So my next question that I have is what? Which I think is a good time to point out that this was, if you're familiar with certain cartoons from the late 80s, early 90s, you are probably familiar with that 10 or 5 minute segment, or not even like 2 minute segment they have at a lot of cartoons to teach kids a lesson about various things.
PSAs.
Yeah, the
Oh,
various
looking forward to it.
PSAs called Sonic Says, which they their hearts I feel are in somewhat of a right place. Their
Yes, let's
execution,
talk about the one on sexual assault, please.
yeah, yeah, they tried to cover, and this is probably the most famous one because it's not good.
It's very bad.
I love it because at the end of it, he starts listing people you should go to. He stops at police officer. It sounds like he's got another name to list off, and it just fucking ends.
It's also it's also a great thing because it also glances over kind of a very unfortunate thing about that kind of thing, which is those are the most common people to have that happen.
Yes, statistically speaking, 80% of the time, someone you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
But also it is basically it's just not done very well.
It's so poorly done. Like, you
The,
know what they're trying to do,
I
but
actually-
it's incredibly sloppy.
I have the transcript of
Oh god.
it if you
please.
want me to read it.
Yes, please.
Okay. Kids, there's nothing more cool than being hugged by someone you like. But if someone tries to touch you in a place or in a way that makes you feel uncomfortable, that's no good. It's your body. No one has the right to touch you if you don't want them to.
Hold on. I think just to point out that the way that he says that's no good is very
That's no
Not-
good.
That's no good.
That's
It is
no good.
very, very,
Very radical.
very not
So bad.
not appropriate.
Jaleel, why? It's your body. No one has the right to touch you if you don't want them to. So, what do? First, you say no. Then, you get out of there. Most important, you gotta tell someone you trust, like your parents, your teacher, a police officer, and
Yep.
It
Like
just
he
cuts
could,
off. It's so good.
I thought there was gonna be more, and it just ended. I'm like, wait.
No, it just ends. It's really good.
He has no
Also, I
out.
forgot mentioning that for Sonic says he pops his head out of a glory hole. Okay, let's move on.
Yes.
Uh,
I was gonna bring up that all of the Sonic Says bits, they're typically like a skit. That one is literally just Sonic talking to you because I figure there's literally nothing they could do
yeah, you
that they could get away
There's
with.
literally no way to make that funny.
Because
You-
the pinball one, to do the skit, they brought back the stupid Ray, and then Sonic's like, you know what it is? What can make you not stupid? 1, stay in school. 2, stay in school. 3, remember 1 and 2.
yeah, that also sucks.
So I didn't think of it then, but yeah, it's kind of good they didn't try to do a skit for, hey, sexual assault is pretty awful, because that would have been pretty atrocious.
It's
It would
no
have been
good.
foul.
Also, now that I remember it, I do want to point out. Well, I think it was one of the episodes that we took a look at. Because there was a very interesting bit of trivia to it. I'm trying to find it here. Let's see. It's just there's a lot of things here. Yeah, if someone has something to say, while I find this.
um,
So do you know that there's one about getting into a dryer?
Yeah, I just saw
Don't do
that.
that.
Also, these shows were great, or these segments were great because they produced great animation cells of like I just remember seeing that uh just the person who has the cell of Tails holding a cigarette just being very happy that they got that on eBay.
To be fair, that is a really good image.
Right.
I
Oh,
appreciate the animation
so
sales and giveaways.
so I'm debating about putting this on the next. I probably won't. But I do want to call out one specific episode because I might forget about it if you do it in the next set. There is an episode called Magnificent Sonic. Sonic becomes the sheriff of Tranquil Gulch in hopes of keeping Robotnik from harassing the locals. Sonic says segment gun safety.
Oh Jesus!
Notes. This episode was banned from Fox Kids airing due to the Columbine High School massacre in 1999. Nowadays, this episode is no longer banned. It continues to air on many TV networks.
The show airs on any TV network? What?
Well, it's syndication, so anyone who has it.
Yeah.
Also, there is another episode that basically mass transit trouble. Robotnik threatens to demolish an airport, a lighthouse, and a train station. Sonic is forced to travel to all 3 locations in order to recover the bombs. Sonic says segments, bicycle safety. Notes. This episode ran for approximately a year and a half before the Oklahoma City bombing forced the episode withdrawal from circulation. Later, as the incident died down, Toon Disney picked the episode back up again, only to have it removed from circulation about 3 years after 3 years of airtime due to the September 11th attacks.
So, like, the issue here is when you have as many episodes as they do, you will cover fucking everything.
This is a very up and down episode, I should say.
Also,
Yeah.
I want to point out that the one we talked about with the That's No Good aired at the end of the hot female hedgehog
the
episode.
breezy episode.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which I think since we kind of went. Also, some of these Sonic Says segments are completely pointless. Slow Gang. Sonic must save a family of sloths from Robotnik's slow motion ray, but when he himself is slowed down by a scratching grounder, Tails and the sloth family must take action. Sonic Says segments, sloths. Just sloths.
Don't be
'cause,
lazy.
like, they very obviously ran out of ideas.
Yes.
They tackled smoking, alcohol.
Wisdom of elders.
Like, what was the one for the Mama Robotnik episode?
Trees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're there.
Allow me to use this opportunity to just of course point out OKKO having a Sonic crossover episode, and it ends with a Sonic Says segment that is every bit as self-aware as you would think it is.
Mhm.
That I have not seen that episode. I've not seen any of OK Go, and I just know that episode pulls some incredibly obscure polls.
Yeah, it fucking references the Sonic OVA. Like, holy
Yeah.
shit. Specifically the hyper metal Sonic dying scene.
Yeah.
But yes, it's Sonic Says is such a weird thing, but I mean, I guess it's a product of the time of you have to have something educational in your television show.
Well,
Yes.
it's like all-star tunes to the rescue. It's awkward
Yeah,
and
that's
you,
great if you want to hear Simon the Chipmunk say the word marijuana a lot.
yes. It's I still love that one. That I watched the shit out of that special, but you look back on it now and it hasn't aged super well and it's very awkward.
Also,
I mean, it's dated
Michelangelo,
the
why are
second
you
it
even
comes
here?
out.
You're not fooling anyone.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
God.
think we kind of went all over that one. So I think we'll just skip over to the next question, which is
Oh no.
why?
Why?
Ugh. Ugh.
Why
Why?
not?
There,
Ugh.
this show,
It's
um,
gross.
there- it's not only nonsensical, but there is a disturbing amount of very specific details in episodes that makes it seem that this is for specific people.
Tell me more about Robotnik's feet. How
Yeah,
detailed they are.
there's some
Let's be honest here, okay? Some of the people doing the art were working out some of their fetishes.
like if you just type in, at least if it's the same search as the results I'm getting, if you just type in the words Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, the very first image you see if you're just looking down is a thumbnail for Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog 140 Zubotnik, which has a thumbnail that seems to have nothing to do with the episode at all, but is a very muscular Sonic.
God, yeah, that one's pretty good. I
People
mean,
get
okay, so if we're gonna talk about this, we got a lot to cover, really.
Yes.
But like the fucking Robotnik feet thing was not a one-off thing.
no, no, it wasn't.
There's a lot of very detailed Robotnik foot, but if we're gonna cover specific shit, let's talk about the space station.
Yeah, that one had a lot. That had a lot of very specific things in that one.
Why don't you explain it, Lolo?
Uh, how do you feel about sneezing? How do you feel about vor? How do you feel about muscle growth? Very
This
muscular
episode had
child.
it all.
It was very detailed in ways that it shouldn't be.
If you've got a fetish, we've got it in this episode.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And getting
Yeah.
back to Robotnik's juicy buns.
yeah.
All right. I have an itemized list of everything that I've seen going through this fucking
Okay.
show. No, I don't.
Let's do this. No, damn it.
I wish I had thought to just.
But
list
I will
all of
say there is a lot. There are a lot of feet. There's Robotniks and there's also Sonics. There's the weird ass whatever the hell that animal was in Robotnik Land that had the fishnets
Oh,
and
right.
no
Yeah.
pants at all.
Yeah, the pantsless fish leg, or not fish leg, fishnet lady skunk? Mouse,
Yeah.
maybe?
She's a
There's
mouse. That was it. Yes.
mouse, yes. There's mice. I mean, also it is a show based around a bunch of furries, so we can't ignore that one. That one's kind of a layup.
Yeah, I think yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, there are many lovingly rendered asses, and there's one that like I always have in the back of my head, but I think we have to save that one for a different podcast.
Oh
Okay.
god, there is we didn't watch it, but there is an episode where they literally infantilize.
Oh yeah, there's
Fuck!
They both
infantilism.
become
There is that episode where they force feed Tails into becoming very large.
I was gonna save that one.
they literally become babies and Tail has a diaper on.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot.
There were people just really sublimating their internal issues with their own fetishes,
And then they
it's-
would
it's
all go on to do Totally Spies.
the most unhorny show of all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. So next question I guess I have is how. So I just kind of wanted to point out how this came along. Basically, I think we kind of pointed out this because I don't know if this really happens a whole lot. Like syndication is not something that really occurs a lot nowadays. At least I don't think so.
Not
But
really.
yeah, because basically how this was produced is all 65 episodes were produced at a time. Like they created all the episodes before it was even picked up. And yeah, it yeah, basically it to do a Wikipedia read, which I know is not the greatest thing, but just so it is out there for you, listener. Production. Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog was created by Deek Animation City.
Dick.
Yeah,
just keep that shit going.
uh, by Deke Animation City in association with Sega of America Inc., which licensed the characters to Deke, which produced a total of 65 episodes in one season and was syndicated by Bobot Entertainment, also known as BKN International. In the original run, every episode began and ended with the Bobot Entertainment Presents logo, and the Italian uh, Rete Italia SBA, part of Fininvest. The show's animation was outsourced to 4 animation studios: the Chinese Shizu Animation or Rainbow Animation, not to be confused with the Italian studio of the same name, Taiwanese Hongying Animation, the Korean firm Seiram Production, and the Tokyo or the Japanese TMS, which produced its own Sonic cartoon, Sonic X. Uh, Pierre Deselles was the senior animation director in Asia. He described the show as fun and humorous. So yeah. Original release was between September 6th and December 3rd of 1990.
Wow.
I feel old.
Can't believe December 3rd. What a birthday. Uh,
Yes.
Good riddance. But yeah, no, it's oh god, this show obviously, yeah, once again syndicated, so it's already going to be budget to begin with, most likely. But more importantly, it got more budget as they went on because they were running out of money.
Yep.
It got really, 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 really sloppy as it went on.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the episodes that I picked were going specifically throughout the series, and you could tell as it went on that it got more and very undetailed.
You could fucking feel the budget, not just like undetailed. It's like just so much like bunch of animation errors, weird shit not moving the way it should, or just not moving at all. Is oh
Yeah.
Yep.
Mobius 5000 is especially guilty of that.
Was Mobius
Yep.
5000 the one that had the shoehorn Sonic 2 special stage in it?
Yes.
yes, it was the wacky race.
Yep. Yeah. So I think at this point, let's kind of just move on to the next question. How do you feel of this used elements of the game? And I guess we'll start with Axe this time.
I mean, you don't really see Ring often, if at all. They do obviously use elements. They have the characters there. They sort of recreate some of the patterns that you see throughout the games. Robotnik does fly in his egg contraption on occasion, but other than that, they don't really. They don't visit any of the specific locations from the game. Again, they don't really make use of maybe like the power ups or the rings. Not even as like a currency. It's weird. So like it doesn't. I don't think it uses enough of the elements from the game. Personally,
I think that was the thing that kind of went throughout all the Sonic. But yeah. What about you, Stove?
Honestly, if anything, they use the elements of the game very weirdly. Like in Spaceman Sonic, they like are floating through space in the rocket, and all of a sudden someone points out, "Hey, look over there! It's Starlight Zone." It's like, what? No, it's not. What the fuck? It's just a random nondescript ass space station. And then, after in the Mobius 5000, they're racing, and they say, "Oh, they just got past the chemical plant zone." Like, did they? I don't think they did. And yeah, there were a few elements of Sonic 2 in that episode, including, as Lolo pointed out, the special stage and them having to collect a bunch of rings and the lamppost that got them in and out. And it all just felt really weird and shoehorned in and extremely unnatural because at that point they don't usually do it. Like there is, if I remember right, there is one episode where they reference the Chaos Emeralds, but it's more like a singular emerald.
Yeah.
So yeah, it doesn't use elements of the game that I mean, character wise in terms of like Tails being there, like it's before Tails was actually a genius, so that part kind of makes sense, but it still sucks. And taking what they have for enemies and using that as a jumping off point to have these villains around. There's that, but yeah, other than that, there's nothing really.
So
Also, to be fair, wouldn't there have already been Tails piloting the plane at this point?
yeah, because that's 2.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Also to point out, I did look for it. Apparently, there's actually a 4-part episode in the series where they go through to find the 4 Chaos Emeralds, and they do so by going throughout time.
The
So
garbage emeralds.
you have Blackbot the pirate, Hedgehog of the Hound Table, Robotnik's pyramid scheme, and prehistoric Sonic.
None of those sound good.
No.
Yeah. Also, the thing for Robotnik's pyramid scheme could be good because you run into the crypt of Robotnik's ancestor, Robotnik and Notep.
Yeah, I guess you do, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that tracks.
So how about you, Torpo?
It doesn't. It just uses names and faces at best, and only a handful. It uses nothing else otherwise. Like occasionally they'll name drop shit to pretend that they care, but otherwise it's nothing at all from the game.
Yeah. So yeah, I also think that they don't really use anything else. They just mostly use the character, which could be okay, but yeah. So our last question, Torpo, do you feel that this is a compliment or supplement to the game at all?
It's a detriment, motherfucker. Said my
Yeah.
opinion. There you go.
All right. What about you, Stuff?
I feel like if you can, get some enjoyment out of this, which Torpo clearly hasn't, and that's perfectly fine. I believe that like there's nothing game important in it, so you could just like enjoy it on its own. So yeah, it stands on its own, really.
All right. What about you, Ax?
No. I mean, it's a good cartoon, in my opinion. On its own, I think it's fine. If you're trying to sell the game with the cartoon, I don't think so. I don't think it tracks well enough alongside the game, and I don't think it draws up any interest towards it. Like, I don't think it really pushes people. I wouldn't push someone away from it per se, but I don't think it would get somebody to be like, "Oh, that cartoon is great. I'd like to play the game now."
I have to get to Aquatic Base Zone or whatever the fuck the third one is
Yeah,
in Sonic 2 to see Grounder. Oh no, he's red. Why?
Exactly.
Oh, the only way I can see him, or the characters like they are is in Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is kind of our look at our first look at some of these episodes from Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. So we're not going to rank it quite yet, but I feel like what we should do at this point is kind of give a preliminary ranking for what we feel at this point, because I don't think everyone that is here now will be for the second set.
I won't be.
So let's give our kind of our scores as is now, and kind of use as a comparison point when we eventually rank it next or in 2 weeks. So, Axe, we use if this is your first time listening, we use a 1 to 21 rating scale, which 1 it being universal mastercraft, it cannot be any better, and going down to 21, which is don't even bother. There is not even you can't even get like it's not even fun to watch bad. It is just painfully bad. Ax, what is your number that you're
I like it. Torpid hates it. I like it. But I don't think it's really great. It's popcorn. It's a popcorn cartoon that you could throw on, put it in the background, and I think it sits very firmly at 11. It doesn't aspire to be anything more than just a little bit of popcorn to get you through a couple half hours of your day.
okay? What about
Yeah.
you, Stuff?
I agree with that. Like maybe closer to 12 because some of the episodes are not great. Some of the animation is not great, but I mean, I relatively enjoy it. So I think with this first batch, I can see a little bit of merit to it, but yeah, it's not a great cartoon.
But
So-
Stove, lovingly rendered Robotnik Bun.
I mean, I could just go on YouTube and watch that at this point.
There's
the
a
thing.
lot of places on the internet you can find Robotnik buns if you really want to.
True.
What about you?
17.
Okay.
You know what? That is actually a very valid number.
So I was not expecting, because I have a number in mind, and I was not expecting to actually be the lowest. But there is in our rankings, we have a very It's obviously it goes down in terms of in terms of quality. So it goes Mastercraft, well above average, enjoyably adequate, kind of meh, way past its prime. However, there is a little oasis in the very bottom that I feel this show kind of fits well into. And that is 19, which is what is listed as the fascinating night. Because I feel that like this show definitely is not good, but it is fascinating to watch.
Yeah, I could get
It
behind that.
is, it is, it is just there is a lot of animation issues. There are a lot of character issues. There are a lot of issues, but you don't get a show like this very often. It is very unique. And this is not something you would go into or you should go into watching expecting something I say quality, but something it's not going to be refined. It is going to be very messy, but it is fascinating to watch.
You know what? That tracks. I'd actually agree with that.
Because there
But I
are
mean, this is
some
preliminary, but you know.
yeah, and then again, this is just preliminary, and just to kind of classify, because this is the sister show to another show that I do called Retro Rank Rhapsody, where we take a look at video games. In fact, we're taking a look at this because we looked at Sonic the Hedgehog through that. If I take a look at stuff that is in 19, that is again fascinating to watch. We got stuff like Ernest Evans. We got stuff like let's see, Corpse Killer and Gumshoe. We got stuff like let's see, what do we got in the Resistance list? We have stuff like Buck Bumble. Oh wait, no, whoops, wrong one. We got stuff like Genpei Termiden, the original Kid Icarus, Atlantis no Nazo, Wonder Momo. Games that are not, I would not call them good, but they are fascinating to watch. So I don't think, even if I place it that low, that it's definitely not something that you should completely ignore. But yeah, I do feel like it feels like it's in the same ilk as the things we have looked at that are around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't particularly agree, but
I think 19's also valid, but
It,
also 17's listed as way past its prime.
that also that could be, but yeah, we'll take a look at the next. We'll take a look at the next set. As we said, this is just
Damn, that's a burn.
uh. So yes, yeah, that is our look at the first set of episodes for the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. So before we go, Axe, do you have something that you would like to plug?
yes, I have a stream, twitch.tv/axamortal.
Okay, Stove.
Well, let me get my YouTube poop channel up real quick so I can get the URL for that. No, I'm at twitch.tv/PortableStove where I do Twitch poop instead. Just I play
Gross.
I play Sonic games from time to time. I will probably play one sooner than later.
Shame you can't
Alright.
play a good one because they don't exist.
Yeah,
Hey, man,
it'd be a ROM hack,
that,
so
that Mass System game works. Okay, Torpo, what about you?
Twitch.tv/TorpidTypist or at TorpidTypist on Twitter. But also, I'd like to plug a show that addresses a lot of our issues, like the lack of plot or consistent game references, and that's Sonic Underground. Somehow, it's infinitely worse.
Yeah,
all
that's
right. Good night, everybody.
yeah, that's also the thing that I'm thinking of listening or watching this. I'm like, yeah, this is kind of a nightmare, but it's
But
not.
it's not Sonic Underground, which
Can't wait till we do the
I
ranking.
feel worth mentioning really quick that Lolo and I and a few other people once upon a time watched through everything except for the 3 final episodes
Because we could not handle it anymore.
because we could not take it anymore.
Which is more episodes than you should watch that show. But anyway,
I can't believe I love myself more than that to sit through Sonic Underground. Amazing.
yeah.
It was a suicide pact.
Anyway, yes, that is going to do it for this episode. So next episode, we are taking a look at something incredibly different. We are taking a look at the Disney movie Tron, which is about as different from this as you can possibly get.
There are no hedgehogs in Tron.
No, there is not.
Takes
There-
place
both.
entirely inside of a hedgehog.
I will probably not be on that episode then.
It takes place entirely in a snow globe owned by an arcade machine.
We should probably save that for next week.
had an aneurysm just now. What happened? Everything
Did
went
you
black.
black out for a second?
Congratulations, Max. You are now in the Tommy Westfeld.
Ah! Everything's just going red, just filled with this burning hot rage.
Anyway, I think I need to end it now. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Later.
This has been another episode of Media Delta. If you would like to view the entire list of rankings for yourself, you can go to r3.ldp.life to see the Resonance and Essence list that Media Delta covers, as well as the other lists that are covered by our sister show, Retro Rank Rhapsody. If you would like to watch Retro Rank Rhapsody, you can watch it live on Fridays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Saturdays at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live on Twitch at twitch.tv/loadofpuzzlo. Or you can view any of the episodes anytime at youtube.ldp.life. If you would like the help of hosting costs, you can go to patreon.ldp.life and help out with a $2 or $5 pledge. If you would like to discuss this episode and any other episode of our community, you can join our Discord server at discord.ldp.life. If you want to follow the show on Twitter, you can follow it at Hazeltown Story, or you can follow me, your host, at LoloDePuzzlo. Thank you for listening, and I hope you come back for a round for the next episode.